Good afternoon. It's Melissa with the Parenting Boot Camp. We are on day 3, and I hope some of you are able to join us today because I had a lot of questions, and I actually printed out a lot of your comments and questions today because I wanted to be able to answer those for you. So today's topic was really focused on ways that we can invite our children's cooperation, and a lot of it is about sharing control, because that's what most kids want. They just want some control, and we want them to cooperate. So I think we can meet both of our needs. So today's email went out and it talked about sharing control by giving limited choices, and limited choices start with a limit. So it's not you can have or do anything you want. There's a limit, and then there's choices within those limits. So because I have a lot of questions, I want to spend most of my time answering them and then see if there's some other questions that have come up as well. I see Becky joined us, so welcome, Becky. Thanks for being here with us. And so if you have questions as I'm talking, just jump in. It's totally fine. I've typed everything out just so I have everything, because we could spend a lot of time answering these questions. So I'm just going to start off by reading what people wrote and then responding. So Claire this morning was the first to respond. She said, I currently do try and give my little girl choices over what she wears and what cup she has, etc. The time I struggle the most with her is getting her up out of bed to go to nursery some mornings. I'm assuming that's preschool, what we call preschool here in the States. Getting her in the car after nursery and getting her to take a bath in the evening as well. It's hard to incorporate choices in these areas, but we'll definitely be using empathy statements from yesterday. So fabulous. Empathy and limited choices are natural partners. So I'm so glad that you see the opportunity there. But I think there are lots of choices we could give. And I think ideally, and this applies to everybody, that we can be giving choices all day long before these challenging moments, from getting to preschool, coming home from preschool, getting in baths. We can be giving choices all day long. So when we get to the hard stuff, it's easier for them to cooperate and do what we ask because they've given some control throughout their day. But there are lots of choices. So let me just give you a few. So getting her out of bed. So maybe you've got to get up and ready to leave for nursery, and you can go in and offer her, hey, do you want to get out of bed right now, or do you need one more minute? Do you want to get out of bed by yourself, or do you need some help from me? So we can offer her choices of getting out of bed. Or, hey, we start with a limit. It's time to get out of bed right now, sweetie. Do you want to go brush your teeth first, or do you want me to make you breakfast first? So we can give her choices that lead her to getting out of bed, that don't have to actually do with physically getting up. Or, hey, you know what? It's time to get ready for nursery. Do you want to pick out your clothes, or do you want me to pick out your clothes? So there's a lot of choices we can give for her to make that choice to start moving and going with you. So let's see. The other was getting in the car. So lots of choices we can give leading up to getting in the car. It's time to get going soon. Do you want to bring your backpack, or do you want me to carry your backpack? Do you want to bring a stuffed animal in the car on the way to nursery school? Do you want to bring a book? Do you want to listen to the Recess Monkey music or the Noddits music? So we can give them lots of choices so they choose to get in the car. And when they make that choice out loud, it reinforces that they're actually going to do that thing. Bath, same thing. Do you want to take a bath after dinner, before dinner? Do you want dad to give you a bath or mom to give you a bath? Do you want a bath with bubbles or no bubbles? Do you want to take your bath and start by washing your body first or shampooing your hair first? Do you want a 5-minute bath or a 2-minute bath? So lots of choices your child can have. The limit is we're having a bath. But how that happens, what order that happens, doesn't necessarily matter to you. So giving them that control. Susanna also said getting out the door when she needs to be somewhere is a challenge. She said she gives her choices over clothes and food, and then the rest becomes a struggle. So I'm wondering what the rest is, because I asked her to give an example of what choices she gives. She said, and these are great. Do you want to wear purple purple tights or pink tights. Like, it doesn't matter if she's wearing a dress and the limit is she's got to wear tights. What color? Who cares? So she's got some control there. Or you're making breakfast and Susanna gave the perfect example of, do you want toast or do you want a bagel? So giving them control so they make that choice to do the things they need to do so they can get out the door on time with you. Okay, let's see. So Susanna, if you are here with us, tell me, you said the rest becomes a struggle. So let me know what the rest is and hopefully I can respond to that. Catherine, she gave just a great example I wanted to share. It was, would you like to go to the potty or brush your teeth first before going to bed? So the limit is we're going to bed now. It's time to get ready. What do you want to do first? Got to use the toilet, got to brush teeth. Those are two things that have to happen. But in the order, does it matter? Probably not. Great ideas. Sandra also gave a great idea. Do you want to take a bath now or after we finish the puzzle? So maybe they're in the middle of doing something fun. I'm assuming the puzzle is almost done. There's not like 100 more pieces to go, because otherwise that probably wouldn't be a choice you want to give. And then she also gave that another choice of, do you want to take your shirt off or do you want me to do it? So we're getting in the bath right now. We need to get undressed. There's the limit. Do you want to get yourself undressed or do you want me to do it for you? They don't always have to like it. It's perfectly fine. Our job is not to make them happy all the time. So if you have to do it, great, but we do it not in a like, fine, I'm going to take your shirt off because you're not doing it. We're not doing it in that way. We're just like, hey, no problem. You know what? We're getting in the bath. I'll take your shirt off. And they can wriggle and whine and no problem, because the more you are consistent, and here's the key, because I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I've given choices, it doesn't really work. Well, the key is consistency, because if you are consistent in this way, what they're going to learn is that it's in their best interest to make a choice. Otherwise, you're going to make it for them. And they don't want that. They want the control. So being consistent is really the key here. Joanna said getting dressed in the morning is a chore. This is a common theme here. The mornings are tough. I offer her shirts to wear, but it's always no. Even if it's her favorite shirt, it's probably going to be no, because this is just about control. That's it. I go through all of them and then finally just pick one, and it's usually a struggle to get it on. So she says, I go through all of them and then finally just pick one. So here's the key, keeping it to two. So we're not gonna like, do you want the unicorn shirt, the rainbow shirt, the strawberry shortcake shirt? Like, no, there's two shirts. Which one do you wanna wear? We're getting ready, we gotta go. I tried to offer two choices. She rejected them. And then of course I got cut off, but I think I wrote a few notes that eventually she picked a shirt and they moved on. So I think noticing that maybe sometimes your choice is too narrow, and then you can step back and say, you know what? You can, maybe this is not a good example. I'm trying to think of another example. I was thinking it applied to this one. Maybe the starting point is something broader than the specific two shirts. So maybe with your daughter, Joanna, it's starting off with, hey, do you want to pick out your shirt for today, or do you want me to pick out your shirt? Or do you want to wear a long sleeve shirt or a short sleeve shirt? So once she picks short sleeve, then you can move on to something more specific. So she may have needed more control up until that point to make that choice. Mariel says, what is the best response when the child refuses to choose? And then you choose for them, and then they melt down and they decide they want to choose after all, hoping to preempt the meltdown step. Well, we can't always preempt that meltdown step. That is part of being, and I don't know, I can't remember how old, but being a 1 to 6 year old, there just meltdowns come with the territory. So remember, it's not your job to make your child happy. That's okay. When they have a meltdown, what do? You use empathy, right? It's just like, oh man, it sounds like you don't want to get dressed for school. It's time to go. And we repeat that choice. So when they refuse to choose, hey, no problem. We can repeat that choice one more time. We do not want to repeat it more than once, because many of you are probably in this cycle of repeating yourself 10 times. And I guarantee, and I know for a fact, none of you enjoy it. Nobody enjoys repeating themselves. That is one of the biggest complaints I hear from the parents that I work with is I'm so tired of repeating myself. So using this strategy helps you to get out of that vicious cycle. Repeat it one more time, calmly, nonchalantly. I don't care what t-shirt you use. I don't care if we do the bath now or after the puzzle. They don't choose, hey, you know what? We got to get going. We're going to wear the rainbow shirt. And they melt down. Oh, man, it's so hard when it's not the shirt you want. And then they come around and say, no, I want the other one. Great. I think the key is being mindful that we don't get pulled into this power struggle. Sometimes this cues us to want to grab our power back. And that's not what it's about. It's about getting dressed, or it's about taking a bath. So being mindful, we focus on like, what is the goal here? It's not to get pulled into this power struggle. It's just to move on and get dressed. So if they choose the other shirt, great, no problem. Let's move on. No problem. Eileen said something. When we give them choices, how long do we wait for an answer? My daughter likes to repeat herself 20 times until she forgets what she's talking about. Okay, well, I'm glad you said this, and I can't remember if I shared this with you, but it can be helpful to give young children about 10 to 15 seconds to make a choice because their processing is a lot slower. So generally, we want a quick answer, and we think you should figure out whether or not you want a shirt with a rainbow or a unicorn on it pretty easily, but they're thinking about it. So I think being mindful that we give them about 10 to 20 seconds to make that choice. They don't choose it, then we repeat. We give them another 10 to 20 seconds. They don't choose it, we choose for them. Not a big deal. And we move on. So hopefully that answers. She likes to repeat herself 20 times until she forgets what. So what is she repeating? Is she repeating what you just asked her, the choices? Or is she repeating that she doesn't want what you're choosing, Eileen? I'm wondering what it is that she's repeating. So I think the key here is being consistent, because then they know what to expect. Because otherwise, when we're not consistent, we are encouraging to push back. Well, over and over again. Great. And then you're having a hard, I think then we just acknowledge, looks like you're having a hard time choosing, sweetie. I'm going to choose for you. It's amazing when we gently and calmly say that, how quickly they come up with a response. So being consistent, because there's something underneath this behavior, and it's probably just attention. So I think being mindful that this isn't a moment where we are going to get pulled into this dialogue. Many times this is when kids try to negotiate. So I think staying consistent in the way we communicate will make a lot easier for you to move through these moments, because you're consistent, they know what to expect. Hopefully that answered your question, Eileen. If not, let me know. But I'm going to read one more and then write if you've got more. Liz says, what do you do when there are no choices left? Like it's time to get in the car and put your seatbelt on. There are always choices, my dear Liz. There are always choices. So maybe we've physically got to get, maybe we're catching a plane, like we've got to go. It's not an option to sit here and have a conversation. And that's why the limited choice is nice, because we don't drag on here. So we can just simply say, sweetie, you can get in your car seat and I can help you buckle, or I'll put you in your car seat and I'll buckle you in. What would be better for you? So they don't have to like it. They're not going to be happy. They may be going into that stiff body and crying. Great. The key is you stay calm, and this is when you go back to that empathy to be reminded not to escalate. Focus on your emotional state. Your emotional state is going to influence their emotional state. So in this moment, there are choices. They can either basically do it with you, or you could do it for them. And the same is true, like if you have to leave a park, like, hey, we can walk to the car together, or I can carry you. Now that's only if you're able to and willing to carry them. But it's not like a threat, like I'm going to carry you if you don't walk with me, right? This is different. It's in their control. And if they're not happy with the fact that they're being carried, they can't be mad at you because they didn't make that choice and they forced you to make it for them. So it keeps us out of that power and control struggle. Liz has some more questions. What choices can you offer to get them in the car and in the seat? Great question. And I gave a few examples earlier, I think, but I'll kind of walk through this. So I think we can give lots of choices to get in the car long before it's time to get in the car. So offering what they want to bring. I did give you these examples. So offering what it is they can take with them. Do you want your fuzzy bunny, or do you want to bring a book in the car? Do you want to go through the garage door or the front door to get in the car? Do you want to walk in front of me on the way to the car, or should we hold hands? Do you want to listen to your music in the car or a book on tape in the car? So there's lots of choices we can give them so they choose to get in the car, right? Or do you want to get yourself in the car, or do you need me to help you? And me to help you is kind of like holding them down, buckling them in. That's okay, right? There might be a little bit of force, but you're doing it kind, loving. It's not mean and angry and resentful. So that's perfectly fine. Also, Liz says, what do you do if they're displaying a negative behavior, like picking a fight or like annoying their younger brother? Do you offer 2 different activities? So yes, so if that's going on, you can say something like, uh-oh, what's going on here? It looks like you guys are having a hard time getting along. You can either try to play together and share the toy, or you guys can find separate activities and go to different parts of the room. What would be best for you? So we can give them that choice. If they choose, oh no, we're gonna play together, and then 2 minutes they're fighting or somebody's grabbing a toy, oh man, you're having a hard time. You know what, let's help you find another activity. Or you know what, why don't you're gonna come in the kitchen now and sit at the counter and draw while I get dinner ready, and your brother will finish up what he's doing. So we can give them some choices. They make the choice. It doesn't go well, then we just pick the other choice for them. That's perfectly fine. So you had said, oh yeah, so your examples. Activity. Okay, I just lost connectivity, but it looks like I'm back. So I don't know what just happened on your end, but the screen just went black. Hopefully everybody's still around. So what I was saying was you can absolutely separate them, but give them that choice. It's different when you say, you know what, you guys can't play together. You go sit in the other room, you can stay here. Then we're creating a power struggle because we're telling them what to do. So you can expect people are going to tantrum and escalate and you said negative behaviors. I don't know what a negative behavior is in your home, but I think being mindful that we can give them some control over this. We can give them another chance, right? So you guys can try to play together and share that toy, or you can go find different toys. And sometimes it's like, you know what, I'll hold on to this toy, and why don't you two go pick out something different for yourselves because you're having a really hard time. So that is perfectly fine to split them up that way. All right, I'm back. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening today. Okay, Verica, I don't know if you heard that part. She said at my daughter's age, which I don't know her daughter's age, the problem I have is her nagging and crying, which may turn into feisty screaming because she mainly wants to be picked up and held by me. I'm guessing she's pretty young. What I try to do when not able to pick her up, I firstly stay calm, beautiful, that empathy. Oh, honey. Right? It's that one thing that we start with, which is difficult at times. Yes, I appreciate that. It is difficult. And then saying something like, Mommy's preparing your breakfast now. Please be patient until it's done. In the meantime, would you rather play with this toy or that toy? I'm not sure if what I'm doing is okay or if she's even able to comprehend at this age, since most of the time she tosses everything away and cries until she's wanted is happening. Oh, until, I'm guessing you're saying, she gets what she wants. I figure although she might not be comprehending, the practice I get may be valuable down the road. However, at times I'm tempted to let her cry it out. So, beautiful. Yes, I don't know how old she is, but I'm guessing she's very young. So I think your example is perfect, and maybe we can even eliminate some of the words you're using. So, Mommy's preparing breakfast right now. You need to keep yourself busy. So telling her what she needs to do, or you need to play with one of your toys until I'm done. So you had said, be patient until I'm done. So she probably doesn't know what patient is or looks like. So maybe trying to get a little more concrete about what she needs to do until you're ready. And then offer her the choice of the 2 toys. And if she's interacting with you and she wants you to pick her up, you can show her 2 toys, right? Like, which one do you want to play with until breakfast is ready? And she can point, because kids understand a whole lot more than they're able to communicate, especially at a really young age. So I think that's perfect. She doesn't like it. That's okay. We can just leave the toys there or leave a toy there and continue to make breakfast. It's okay. She's upset. She's angry. That we just go right back to our empathy, because we've got to hold the line. If we then respond and give her what she wants, then we're teaching her that that strategy works. And I'm assuming that you don't want to continue to have to give in every time she tantrums. So being mindful that holding the limit there is really, really important. And you're absolutely right. I think the practice that you do now with your younger child will make it a whole lot easier to use this as they get older. Now, as I've told you already, I have a 10 and a 13-year-old, and I still use this. Like, kids don't grow out of this. We don't grow out of this. Everybody wants a choice. If your boss told you you needed a report completed for them, and they say something like, could you have it on my desk before the end of the day or first thing in the morning, you would feel much more respected and much more engaged and willing to do that for them quickly, because they gave you some control and some power and they acknowledge that. So being mindful that it's, limited choices are valuable at any age. Kids catch on. My kids know that I give limited choices. My 13-year-old daughter could be teaching all of the parenting classes that I teach. She is fully aware. She's read my book. She calls me out when I mess up, which is great. I love it. But I think also acknowledging that our kids appreciate it. And my older kids have communicated that to me, because they have told me when they're adults, like counselors or teachers, that don't give them choices, that are very authoritarian, and they don't appreciate it. It's a really tough relationship. And that when there are times in our household when I'm kind of like pushing them to get things done and kind of in taskmaster mode, because like we got to get things done, they will stop and say, but what's our choice, Mom? And then it reminds me that I can give them some limited choices in those moments. And then we move together more happily and quickly, quite honestly, than if I just kept telling them what they needed to do. So Liz, I hope that answered your question. Again, your job is not to make your child happy all the time. We would be setting our children up for huge disappointment in life if all we did was try to make them happy. They need to struggle. These struggles build grit and resilience. So it's okay. We can still be empathetic towards them. We don't have to solve it. We don't need to stop them from having these negative emotions, because negative emotions and positive emotions are all good. They're all acceptable. They're not good or bad. They're just positive or negative. So being mindful that it's okay. It's hard to watch your child struggle, but it's really, you're doing them a favor. So I think I got through all of the questions and the responses that I saw in the thread today. I'm wondering if there was anything else. Eileen, is there anything? I don't know if you're still here with us, Eileen. If there is anything else I could answer for you. I know there are still a ton of questions about yesterday's practice of using empathy, and it's a tough one. But it is definitely an evidence-based practice. It's not me just saying, oh, I think this is a really good idea and you should try it. The key is really being consistent as well and building that muscle for yourself. And many kids realize that means they're not getting what they want. And that's okay. They need to struggle with that and they don't have to be happy. But I think being mindful that this one tool, this empathy, is not going to solve all of your problems. There's not one parenting tool that's like magic. They all need to work together, and you need to have that toolbox of like five or six different things that you can use to work together. So being mindful that there's not one magic tool, that they all work best together, that empathy must come before limited choices or after limited choices when they're not happy to be much more effective. Okay, Eileen says she's good. The choice thing is the one bit that, oh good, you got it down. So maybe you can share some of the ideas that you've used with your child, since there are a few people that this is new to. And Limited choices sounds really simple. 2 choices, 2 you're okay with, 2 you're willing to follow through on, then giving them that 10 to 20 seconds to make a choice. If they don't choose, you choose for them. That nonchalant, hey, no big deal, I'll pick. Great. And then you move on. And many times after that happens, maybe they are upset, you give them another choice. You know, you offered them, like Susanna said, bagel or toast. And then, I don't like that. Okay, I made a bagel. Hey, you know what, I'm making a bagel, but do you want juice or milk? So we don't continue to gauge in that struggle around that choice. We just move on to another set of choice. Or if we've made the bagel and it's before them and then they say, I want toast. Hey, no problem. We remind them that they have another choice the next day. And they're welcome to have that the next day. No problem. So the key here is staying calm and not getting in that snarky, attitude of, you know what, you didn't choose, so I had to choose for you, right? Kind of thing. Like, that's not helpful. That creates the power struggle. They don't get to reflect on the fact that they didn't make the choice and it's on them. And that's really where the learning happens. So anyways, hopefully that answered everybody's questions. I hope you continue to post your challenges and some of the choices, the specific choices you can give. And in the email, I gave you 3 different ways to give choices. So I'd love it if you could use that as the guide in sharing. And don't just share for sharing because you know that this is going to help somebody else in a very similar struggle. So please give this gift to the other people in our challenge. We now have over 200 people in our challenge. We have, I think, 100 people in our private Facebook group. So please, the sharing that you do is not only going to reinforce that you actually do it, but it's going to help other parents just like you. All right, everybody, I will see you tomorrow with a whole new workout. Keep working on empathy. Hopefully, I love that you continue to post different ways of self-care. It's amazing. I'm totally inspired. And give lots of limited choices. And don't wait till there's a tough moment. This is one of those tools we need to be using all the time so we can fuel that need that they have for power and control. All right, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.